My son made me pay bed rent, so I followed the money in our kitchen drawer and caught the truth. Fathers, how did your child change your life forever? My 4-year-old son started charging me rent to sleep in my own bed. $5 every night, he said, or I had to sleep on the couch. At first, I thought it was the cutest thing ever. I'd hand him a crumpled 5. He'd nod serious, like a tiny landlord, then run off to his toys. My wife, Sarah, laughed and said he was going to be an entrepreneur someday. After 2 weeks, I finally asked, "Buddy, why do I have to pay you to sleep in my bed?" He shrugged, because that's what grown-ups do. Mommy pays Uncle Rick to sleep in her bed when you're at work. My stomach dropped. What do you mean, Mommy pays Uncle Rick? He pointed toward the kitchen. She takes money from Daddy's special wallet in the drawer, then gives it to Uncle Rick. Then they have sleepovers in your bed. They're loud sleepovers, like jumping, but different. My hands started shaking. How often? I asked, trying to keep my voice normal. Tuesdays and Thursdays, he said, and sometimes Saturday if you leave early. Uncle Rick, my brother Rick. I kissed my son's head, walked into the bathroom, and stared at myself in the mirror like I didn't recognize my own face. I asked one more question, softer, like it was a game. Do you ever go in the room? He shook his head. Mommy says stay out. I wait by the door. That was when I knew he wasn't guessing. The next Tuesday, I called in sick and sat in my car down the street. At 10 a.m., Rick's truck turned onto my block. He parked, walked up my driveway, and let himself in like it was normal. I sat there gripping the wheel, forcing myself not to run inside and explode in front of my kid. When he left, I drove around the block to breathe, then went home and acted normal. Sarah kissed me hello like nothing happened. That night, after everyone was asleep, I installed a small hidden camera in our bedroom. I told myself I needed proof, not a screaming match Sarah could twist into he's paranoid. Over the next week, I got proof I'll never unsee. The video showed Sarah opening the kitchen drawer and pulling out cash from our emergency fund. She counted it out on the counter. Then Rick would show up, she'd hand him the bills, and they'd go upstairs to my bed and shut the door. I opened the drawer myself and saw the stack was thinner than it should have been. I felt stupid for not noticing sooner. The worst part was how normal they made it for my son. He'd play in the hallway, sometimes knocking to ask for a snack. Sarah would crack the door, hair messy, and say, "Go wait downstairs," like she was telling him to put his shoes on. One day, my son even said, "Uncle Rick, don't forget your socks," and Rick laughed. By Friday, I couldn't hold it in. I waited until my son was busy with cartoons. Then I played a clip on my phone. Sarah watched for 3 seconds and sighed. "So you put a camera in our room?" Like that was the big crime. "You've been taking our money," I said, "paying my brother, in our bed, with our kid right outside the door." She rubbed her forehead. "It just happened. Rick needed help, and I was lonely." I stared at her. "I work double shifts for this family." She snapped. "Don't yell. Tommy doesn't understand what he's seeing." I said, "He understands enough to start charging me rent because you taught him bedrooms cost money." She looked right at me and said, "You're making it ugly." Like I was the one ruining something. I told her to call Rick and have him come over. Right then, she refused, cold. That told me everything. I filed, handed my lawyer the footage, and asked for custody. The divorce moved fast after that because there wasn't much to argue about once the videos existed and the money trail was clear. The custody hearing was the part that made me feel sick. I didn't want my son pulled into adultness, but my lawyer said the rent game mattered. In court, Sarah showed up with red eyes, and Rick sat behind her like he still belonged there, right in my face again. The judge asked why my son thought dads had to pay to sleep in their own beds, and my lawyer gently asked him to explain it in his own words. Tommy stood on a little step stool, swung his feet, and said, clear as day, "Grown-ups pay money to sleep in beds. Mommy taught me. She pays Uncle Rick from Daddy's money jar. Then they have loud sleepovers." The room went dead quiet. The judge's face changed from confused to shocked. Sarah started crying hard. Rick stared at the floor. My son kept going, totally innocent, and added, "And Uncle Rick always leaves his socks on the floor. Mommy gets mad about the socks, but not about the sleepover." You could hear the court reporter's keys clicking. The judge looked at Sarah and said, "Enough. I've heard enough." Then he turned.